Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the grey. Today's video, we're going to talk getting started with Warhammer Age of Sigmar 3rd edition, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Soulblight Gravelords, and in particular, the Avengorii Dynasty. We're going to talk about what exactly we get with an Avengorii Dynasty army in Soulblight Gravelords to begin with, and then we'll look at some units you could pick up to start your Avengorii Dynasty force. Lastly, we're then going to look at some other units we can use to expand upon those initial purchases, and finally finishing off with a little sample 1000 point army list for you to use as some inspiration to create your own Soulblight Gravelords Avengorii Dynasty army list. With all of that said, let's get cracking on and let's chat about what we get with an Avengorii Dynasty army. Now, obviously, it's a Soulblight Gravelords sub-faction, so we're going to get all the cool things that come with Soulblight Gravelords, like grave sites and all of that. But what makes this sub-faction unique? First of all, we get a set of unique enhancements called Cursed Abominations. These are a set of sort of mountain traits that are for your monsters that aren't heroes. For your zombie dragons and terrorgeists in the force, your unmounted ones. This is pretty cool. You can use these to just give some cool extra rules to your monsters, which is really nice and just flavorful for what we're going, because Avengorii is all about the monsters. Now, all Avengorii zombie dragons, terrorgeist, and vampire monsters. So this is your mounted vampire lords and zombie dragons, along with the Vangorion Lords and Lurkavai, are all -1 to be wounded, which is really cool. So this is just a nice, strong ability we're going to get with the Avengorii Dynasty, which is just going to allow us to have like a bunch of extra cool abilities for us. And then we are also going to get the ability to allow a single monster from the list above, so zombie dragon, terrorgeist, or vampire monster, to fight on the top bracket of its damage table, 1 per each combat phase. You can't pick a single monster to benefit from this ability more than once per battle. So this is really cool, just spreading it out. Not to mention we are currently playing in the Realm of Beasts, so we have that command trait that allows, so potentially we could get 2 monsters fighting at top brackets regardless of how damaged they are. On top of all this, Avengorii allows us to take unmounted zombie dragons and terrorgeists as battle line units, so we can have an all-monster army if that's something you wish to do. It is certainly a possibility in the Avengorii Dynasty. With that said, let's get cracking on and let's look at the first units we recommend picking up. And so the first thing I recommend picking up is Vangorion Lord. These are really great pieces. For 280 points, you're going to get 10 wounds on a 12-inch move, 3 up save, and bravery 10. You're going to get a decent amount of damage out of these models. They're Gore-Drenched Talons with 3 attacks, forced to hit 3 to wound when 1, damage d6. And then the Nightmare Saber also putting in 4 attacks at 3s and 3s, when 1, damage 2. Your Impaling Talon can put out, an extra couple of damage as well. The models fly. They're a wizard that can cast 1 spell and unbind 1 spell in each of the hero phase. And you've got some other cool abilities, like Nightmare's Miasma. While enemy units within 3 inches of any models with this ability, you worsen the rend characteristic of that unit's melee weapons by 1. Combining this with the fact you're -1 to wound as well, there's some really good debuff potential in an Avengorii list. If your monsters get stuck in, your opponent's combat units are going to struggle to deal with them when they've got these sort of negatives against them. The Hunger, like all vampires, if they kill models, they get to heal some wounds. But you do have some other abilities. So, Festering Feast. This model can issue a command at the end of the combat phase. The command can only be received by friendly Soulblight Gravelord units made attacks and destroyed any enemy units. You can heal d6 wounds allocated to that unit. On top of that, you've got some other cool rules like the Undeniable Impulse, where at the start of the hero phase you roll a dice for the model. If the roll is equal to or less than the number of the current battle round until your next hero phase, this model can run and charge. However, it cannot use command abilities. So, you're sort of getting a trade-off. These models can be a little bit crazy, but run and charge on one of these, setting it in with all that -1 to wound and -1 rend around it, it's not too bad a thing to not have to use command abilities. You're effectively getting an all-out defense, ignoring a point of rend in, a sort of not but sort of are way. But to go along with this model, I recommend picking up a Terrorgeist. For me, these are my favourite out of the 2 monsters we have available as battle line options, remember, in Avengorii. And so, Terrorgeists are pretty solid monsters. The Fangoriii is really where it's at, doing d6 damage at Rend 2 with 3 attacks, but it also does 6 mortals if it ever gets a 6 to hit on the Fangoriii, just straight up 6 mortals. So these things can really spike, You roll a couple of 6s or manage to roll that 3 6s to hit, and all of a sudden 18 mortals out of this model. You've got the Death Shriek, which is a cool shooting attack as well, where you do not use the normal attack sequence. Instead, you roll a dice and add the Death Shriek value on its damage table, which at top bracket is 6. And if the total is higher than the enemy unit's bravery, they suffer a number of mortal wounds equal to the difference. Pretty cool. Like, this can be really good against low wound armies. We've got a battle report up on the channel where we had Grots versus against Terrorgeist, and they did not like this one bit. You know, when he's rolling, you know, a 5 or 6 and then adding 6, 11, I've got bravery 4, 9 mortals to a unit straight out. It can really hurt those low bravery armies, and even can be decent. You know, at 6, you're only having to roll, you know, a 3 or 4 to do a couple of mortals and remove a single Stormcast from a unit. So some pretty nice stuff. I really, really like the Terrorgeist. Now beginning to look at some other units available to us. The Zombie Dragon is of course the other monster we have as a battle line option. Where does the Zombie Dragon differ? First of all, it's got Pestilential Breath, which is 1 attack, 3 to hit, and a 2 to wound in its top bracket, Ren 3, D6 damage, and then it's Snapping Maw at 3 attacks, 4s, 3s, Ren 2 damage, D6. Pretty similar to Terrorgeist, but no sort of exploding 6s to do all the mortals. The Zombie Dragon has 14 wounds, 4 up save, 10 bravery like most death things. And it's Pestilential Breath as well. When you make an attack with this model's Pestilential Breath, you roll a dice before making the hit roll. If the roll is less than the number of models in the unit, you automatically score that hit. So it's pretty easy to get this thing through. Though the amount of times I see people roll, you know, a 1 on that wound roll, because it's a single dice, is way too common. It's a cool model though. Looking at the alternate build for the Vangorion Lord, we have Lucaviate. This is a named character. This is one of my favourite things about Soulblight Gravelords, in that all the different sub-factions have a named character available in them. So this is a great way to add some theme and base some narrative around your army. Lucaviate has all the sort of generic things we come to associate with a Vangorion Lord. She's got pretty similar stats in her damage and attacks. She's got the Undeniable Impulse rule, which makes her a little bit crazy, not able to use command abilities. She's got Nightmare Miasma for the -1 to wound around her, but she's also got things like Champion of the Avengorii, where after this model makes a charge move, you can pick one enemy unit within an inch of this model and roll a number of dice equal to the charge roll. For each 5+, they suffer a mortal wound, so some nice mortal wounds when she manages to charge. And then she has the Queen Among Monsters command ability. This model can issue this command at the start of the hero phase, and you pick a friendly visible enemy unit around her. Until your next hero phase, you add 1 to hit roll for attacks made with melee weapons by friendly Soulblight Gravelord units that target that unit. Effectively, she scares the bejeebers out of someone and makes them easier to hit. Her Invigorating Aura and Death's Downpour are 2 different spells she's got available to her, which is really nice. She can cast one and unbind one, so she's just got options for spell. Death's Downpour is a ability, or a spell rather, cast on an 8, successfully cast. Your charge roll is made for enemy units within 12 inch, are halved. Really powerful control command spell here. And then Invigorating Aura, where casting value of 8 again, you add 1 to the roll for each friendly Soulblight Gravelord's hero on the battlefield. If successfully cast, pick one's friendly Soulblight Gravelord Sunnable unit wholly within 18 inch of her, and you heal 3 wounds allocated to her, or potentially 3 wounds worth of models. Pretty cool. Now, looking into this, you see that she's got some cool abilities. Deadwalker Zombies and Skeleton Warriors are the 2 units I want to talk about. We've got a lot of monsters. Sometimes bodies are required to win games, and this is something worth considering in an all-monster army, to have some bodies around. Deadwalker Zombies and Skeletons, where do they sort of fit? Deadwalker Zombies are a mortal wound output unit that is a very big glass cannon. They have no save at all, but they do 6 to hit, and if they kill models, they can add models back to their unit, which is really nice. And then comparing to them, we have Skeleton Warriors, who are a unit that actually want to fight second, because after they're attacked, models get back up and then they can fight. So you potentially want your opponent to have to hit them, not do enough damage, get back up, and then fight back. They both have valid uses. I think both are very different ways on how you want to play with your army. You do generally get more zombies on the table for points than skeletons, but like I said, both have very valid options. It's really up to you on how you wish to play. You've got other options for units to sort of play like this. You've got Direwolves, you've got Fellbats, you've got Graveguard, which are much more elite as well, and plenty of other options. It's worth considering adding some bodies to your force. And speaking of force, here is our sample army list for you to use as some inspiration and create your own Avengorii Dynasty army list. First of all, we are Soulblight Gravelords in the Avengorii Dynasty. Mortal Realm Shaiish, because you know, that just fits the narrative. Grand Strategy, Beastmaster, because we've got monsters, so why not have Beastmaster? Triumph for Inspired for a +1 to wound somewhere is really nice. And then we've got a Vangorion Lord as our general. We've got the command trait on our Vangorion Lord called Eye for an Eye. This I like. I do like a lot of the different command abilities. Eye for an Eye is if you've ever got a wound or mortal wound allocated to this general in the combat phase. You add one to the damage characteristic for melee weapons used by them. So being able to fight second with this is pretty cool. If your opponent manages to get a few wounds through, you're going to be a lot nastier. Remembering, you can always just choose to fight at top bracket no matter how many wounds they get through. So some pretty cool stuff there. Torment-driven throws is another option where you can make opponents fight last around you, or you've got an Hin Rampager to reroll charges, though this would probably be better if you're taking like a Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon as your general, more than the Vangorion Lord, because you can potentially unlock that anyway. Now, artifact-wise, we've gone for Gorvar's Collar. This is a once per game artifact, like a lot of the Avengorii ones, and this is going to allow us +1 a wound. And then Lord of the Vampires, Amethystine Pinions is going to double our move because we already fly. So some pretty cool stuff there. We then have our 3 battle line units, and everything in this army is wrapped up into a battle regiment, so it's a 1-drop. When we're playing with such an elite style army, you really want to be able to go first to dictate where the game's going. You don't want to be giving away the turn. You haven't got the screens in this army to be able to give away a turn. If someone can alpha strike and take a couple of monsters off in a turn, you're going to be in real trouble. So 20 Deadwalker zombies, like I said, we just need an objective holder or something like that to provide. And also, if you are playing, against another 1-drop, you could always use these as a screen just to protect your monsters for a turn and have your opponent hit the screen of Deadwalkers. They're on 25mm bases, which means you can put them in a straight line. Terrorgeist here, we've gone for putting our unique enhancement, our Curse Mutation on him. He's going to have Urges of Atrocity, where once per battle, he can choose to run and still charge later that turn. Really good. This is great, especially if we are playing another 1-drop army and we've had to go second, and we're facing the other Alpha Strike. This is pretty cool to be able to sort of hit your opponent. And then we've got our Zombie Dragon in there, just having to take back. Now, if you didn't want to put your Deadwalker zombies in, you could find the points to get 2 Terrorgeists in if you took Skeleton Warriors or a unit of Fellbats. I do like the zombies better though. This gives you a really good screen. You've probably got enough models here to screen out your force if you are playing another Alpha Strike force. Like I said, everything wrapped up into a single battle regiment. 995 points. Unlikely we're ever going to get that triumph, but +1 a wound if we ever get it. Our opponent's at 1000 perfect. Well worth it. 58 wounds on the table, 1-drop because of battle regiment. A solid little sample army list here for a starting force for Avengorii. Let us know how you've been going with Avengorii in the new edition. Love to hear from everyone down in the comments below. Well, that's the end of the video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And leave a comment down below and let us know what you enjoyed about the video. If you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our fine community here at Sinful Gaming, you can do so by following the link in the video's description to our Discord server. And lastly, if you'd like to help support the channel, you can do so either via Patreon or YouTube members, and both of those are linked again down in the video's description. As a special thanks to all our Patreon and YouTube members, I'd like to give a shout out to them all. So a special thank you to our Patreons, Christian Weir, James Soren, Greenskins Gaming, AJC, Kenny Lowe, Outer and Shop First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, The Rising Ape, Cure Dynamic, Agu, Anthony B, Anton Nilsson, JJ Austrian, Average Wargamer, Domir, Mark Harvey, James Cater, Dynet226 and Derek. And a special shout out to our YouTube members, Green Roots Gaming, Kenton Young, Chris Wallace, Ronya, Vinny, Locklorick, The Johnny84, David Ellsworth, Revenar, Wolfric Nick, Broken Shelf, Ariana Airwoods, and Sean Scott. Lastly, a special thanks, first of all, to Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing artwork for our channel, and to Xmorphic, who does all the amazing Discord server background work for us. Thank you all for watching. Once again, stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.